all. So, hello, my name is Dr. Lydia Locklear, and I am so excited to be here with you all for the 2021 Virtual North Carolina Native American Youth Organization Conference. I just want to let you know that we are so excited to be live streaming on Facebook, as well as recording for so many of our youth to see. We are so excited for today and tomorrow and what we can offer for this year's conference. Before we begin, I'm going to turn it over to our newly crowned Miss NCNAYO for a prayer.
Hey everybody, if you would please bow your heads with me as we pray. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the ability to be able to join together. Even though this is not an in-person conference, you have given us the ability to come together and to celebrate our culture and our history together. Lord, I ask that you watch over this conference, and I ask that you let all of the speakers and workshops do their best to touch the hearts and souls of everyone here. In your name we pray, amen.
Thank you so much, Lydia. And I want to share with you all a little bit about what today is going to look like. Again, we are so sad that we are not in person. For the last 2 years, we have planned to be together this week during the this week again at ECU, so at East Carolina University, and we are really, really ready to be in person with you all. But while we cannot be in person, we are excited to open up with you all virtually. Today, we are going to start out. We've already covered our welcome, and we are going to jump into our keynote next, and that is going to be given by Miss Brooke Simpson. We were so excited to share her video as we open up this year's conference because of all that she has done for not only our Native youth, but our Native communities and that recognition. At 1:30, we're going to go into a college student panel and have some current college students share about their experiences. After we finish with the panel, we are going to break out into 2 breakout rooms and do 2 quick workshop sessions. Once that is over, you'll have a short break in between there, and then we're going to reconvene again at 3 o'clock with another live panel. A generational panel who's going to share a little bit on the topic of our theme, which is Native Resilience, Breakthrough to Excellence. And then we are going to have our executive candidate speeches. I'm so excited about that. We have 3 young leaders that are going to be running for those executive positions, and I'm excited to hear their speeches. And we're going to close out. I'm going to ask my youth to hold on. We're going to have a closing talking circle where we just give you the opportunity to share and talk and really just truly mingle with each other. And with that, we're going to jump right in. I'm going to turn it over again to Lydia, who's not only Miss NCNAYO, but are also outgoing historian, who is going to introduce our first keynote.
All right, so Brooke Mills Simpson is a member of the Hallowasaponi tribe and is from Hollister, North Carolina. Brooke is a singer-songwriter who received 3rd place on The Voice and is currently in the process of America's Got Talent. She has also, she killed it Tuesday night. If y'all didn't just watch it, she killed it. And she's also been giving vocal lessons and is one of the best vocal coaches I know. I'm going to pass it over to Ms. Brooke Simpson now.
Oh my gosh! Okay, so can we first comment on how iconic Lydia is? Yes, I love working with Lydia vocally, and also she is our queen and goddess. I love you. Okay, so first and foremost, I just want to say it does look like there is a little bit of technical difficulties. Let's see. Is it any better now? Is it better now? Just want to make sure that you guys can hear me loud and clear before we get started.
Yeah, Brooke, we can hear you, but your video's a little in and out.
Okay. I'm going to, if you can hear me, I'm just going to try to keep going because what's most important is what I'm saying. So just to clarify, everyone can hear me? Hello? Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, it's going in and out. Your sound is.
Okay. Is this better?
Yes, now we can hear you perfect.
That is so unfortunate because I am rocking a Be Yellowtail original and I wanted the world to see how Indigenous people are killing the clothing game right now. Um, but I will try to maybe start off my the things I wanted to share with you guys without video, and maybe I'll try to add video afterwards. But I definitely know that what's most important is what I wanted to share with you. So first and foremost, I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me here. Thank you so much, Lydia, for the kindest introduction. I'm just honestly so honored and so humbled to be here right now and to be a part of this and to be a keynote speaker. I just don't have any other words other than thank you. So thank you so much. Just so honored. And like you mentioned, I did recently audition for America's Got Talent. That was such an exciting experience. That airing last night in the world, getting to experience something that I've been keeping a secret for a few months. It was crazy, but it was such a beautiful reception that I got. And honestly, this new season that I'm in, it is a very exciting and a very busy season. God is opening a lot of really cool doors, like America's Got Talent is happening. I have started the process of recording an album. I'm doing voiceover work for an animated series that'll be on a major streaming platform. And then, of course, next year, Broadway is finally reopening. So I will finally be able to debut on Broadway. So it's a very busy and exciting season. And I'm so excited and so humbled. But all I can think about especially when I was kind of figuring out everything I wanted to share from my heart today, all I could think about was this time last year, this was not the feeling I had. This wasn't what my season looked like. It was much different. And just to be very real and transparent with you, because I know that we are all family. Last year, I didn't know at certain points, like I was worried about how our end's going to meet. I mean, being an artist and traveling on the road, and that's your full source of income, when that stops because of a deadly virus that is overtaking our country, it's a really scary place to be, as we all experienced. It was such a scary time. So with that, I went through a depression that I hadn't really experienced before. And I remember there came a point in that time when I was just feeling my lowest. I remember I was talking to my main man, my partner, Ray, and we were talking, and he mentioned to me, he was like, all of this fear, all of this worry, month to month, every month. But remember, all those months in the past when you were still worried, we have had food on our table, we have had gas in our car, and we've made ends meet. So with that, it kind of brought me to the realization of all of this stress and all of this worrying when God has taken care of me the whole time. And it was just a reminder of how, of course, it's so much easier said than done, especially when you're going through those emotions, but how purposeless fear and anxiety is. And it's all rooted from a place of fear. So I decided right then, I was like, I'm a 100% big believer in sowing and reaping. So I decided right then, I wanted to start sowing for the type of season I wanted to have, for the type of place I wanted to be in, opposed to the place where I was. And with that, all of the sowing that I did last year, I feel like right now I'm in the middle of reaping from that hard work in that dark place. And now I say all of this, but I'm sure some of you that are probably listening right now, and you can tell me if you did or didn't, but I'm sure some of you were probably at the Unity Conference that I spoke at a few years ago. And when I was there, I started remembering, man, my story that I shared there at Unity, it sounded kind of similar, different situations, but kind of similar to the story that I'm sharing now, how I was living in a place and working a job that I felt I was undervalued and underpaid, and I was unhappy. But then God took me out of that tough spot, and now He brought me to a new place. So I only say that to just mention, not like, wow, my life is a broken record, but in the sense of it's a reminder that yes, hard times are inevitable. They're always going to come. There's always going to be hard times, but it's always a reminder as well that there's always a light at the end of the tunnel as well. So with that, it reminded me of how resilient I am, even in those hard places. And when I heard when I heard the theme for this year was Native resilience, breaking through to excellence, breakthrough to excellence, I was so moved, and it made me once again just so proud to be who I am, because that means it's in my blood to be this resilient. Indigenous women and men have always persevered. And now that's something that I want to always use as a referring place when I'm going into these hard places as a woman in this industry, or even as a Native American woman in this industry. And when you even look at everything that Native people have been up against, have gone through, and even the battles that we're still fighting today, the key word is we're fighting, honey. We're not going nowhere and nothing without a fight. And never forget who you are. You are strong. And actually, I'm going to try to turn on my camera for this part. Hopefully, this doesn't interfere with the sound, but I want you to look into my eyes and know how deeply I mean this. Okay. I'm not sure if you can see me. I'm just checking in. Okay. I'm not sure if you can see me or not. Okay, it's still a little splotchy. What I wanted to say was, I wanted to look at you and say, never forget who you are. You are strong. You are resilient. You are unstoppable. You are unbreakable. You are powerful. There is nothing that you cannot do. And let our ancestors and let our history be a reminder of that. We ain't going nowhere, honey, and we are fighters. Remember who you are, because it is in your blood. I love you so much. And I hope that more than anything else, you know how loved you are. You are so loved. You are not forgotten, and you are so necessary. Yeah. And that's all I wanted to share with you guys today, as well as the fact that I love you so, so very much. I appreciate your kindness in comments and in video or whatever it may be, and your support has meant the world to me. And I'm not trying to over speak or anything, but I just wanted to also say, you know, another transparent moment. There have been so many times where I haven't felt so I've been so humbled and almost felt unworthy of being the person or one of many people that gets to put a spotlight on Native American people and Native voices. But regardless of how inadequate I may feel at times, it doesn't matter about how I feel. What matters is it is so important, because we need to be heard. We are loud, we are strong, and we are here. Yeah, and that's all I wanted to share with you guys. I love you all so, so very much. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Brooke, for speaking again. And does anyone have any questions for Brooke? Y'all can drop them in the chat, or if you feel comfortable putting on your mic.
No, but I just want to say you did a great job.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh, and I see a comment here. What was the AGT experience like? The AGT experience was so exciting. To be honest, I thought to an extent maybe I would kind of have an idea of what I was doing, you know, since I had been in a similar environment before. But still, it is a whole new game. You know, it's not just singers that I'm a contestant up against. It's all sorts of acts. So it's so interesting, but it's also so beautiful. And everyone's so kind. So it's very exciting. Oh,
I have a question.
Oh, wait, I recognize that voice.
I'm Brooke's mom. And I have a question, Brookie. Do you think it's a possibility before you go to Broadway after AGT is done? Do you think it's a rare possibility that you might be able to do one last concert on the East Coast at the end of this year?
I would absolutely love that. I would absolutely love that. As far as like an a definite yes or no, I can't give that just because I have no idea what the next few months are going to look like at all. But if that is in the cards, then 1 billion%. I always love any excuse to come home.
We have a question in the chat. How important is it to have positive role models / mentors in life?
It is so important, in my opinion. And I don't think it's something where the older you get, the less you need to be mentored or positive influences or role models. I almost think the older I get, the more that I realize it myself, opposed to, like my parents or my loved ones telling me that. It's now as I'm getting older, and I'm a grown woman, I'm now thinking about like what type of people and vibes and energy I want in my life. And I want to make sure that I always protect myself. So, yeah, I think it's so important to have positive people and people that, are going to shine light in your life. There's already too much darkness as is.
And we have another question. What was one of your favorite, besides yourself, AGT acts?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so there's a couple. There's one that I haven't even seen yet, and y'all haven't seen yet, so I can't tell you their name, but they're iconic. But other than that, Nightbird, she's the cancer survivor who I believe is still struggling with cancer right now. She's very, very incredible, powerful message. And then also there was, and I feel so bad, I cannot remember his name, but there was a man that was on the very first episode. He did a Napoleon Dynamite-esque dance, and it was hilarious, but he was also the kindest hearted person behind the scenes. So yes, but I loved everyone. They're incredible. Oh, let's see. I'm reading this comment. Share a little bit about the resiliency in my story. I mean, absolutely. Honestly, it would probably take up too much of your time to talk through all of my woes or whatever, but it's just constantly, I feel like, especially when it comes to chasing my dreams, I feel like, just to put it as short as possible, I feel like the biggest struggle has always been, um, gosh, I can't even just name. I promise I'm not trying to sound so sad right now. No, but being a woman in the industry, being a woman of color in the industry, being that in the industry, we're in an industry where men can age like fine wine, and women, we are crusty and dusty the moment we are not 18. So it's very hard to be a woman, let alone an Indigenous woman in the industry. But something that I constantly have to do is I have to remind myself to believe in myself, because if I don't believe in myself, how can I expect anyone else to? Um, yeah, it's actually, I feel like all of the struggles and the no's and the closed doors, and the personal struggles and insecurities that I've overcome in my life, I feel like those are all of the things that pushed me towards loving myself so much, because I do. I love myself. And I always hope and pray that people love themselves as much as I love me. And I know that I love myself. That is an outcome of all of the things that happened in my life, that pointed to reasons why I shouldn't, but still I chose to. Um, yeah.
Okay, and then there was a question from Jared saying, will you come back to Unity?
Hey, absolutely, baby. If the schedule all works together, I'm always down for some red bone hangs.
Are there any more questions for the beautiful Brooke Simpson?
Who are my favorite singers of all time? Okay, so the first one's Beyonce. But I would say even more so than my favorite of all time. I think it's the same list. My favorite and the most influential singers in my life. It's been first my mom, then Beyonce, Christina Aguilera, Kelly Clarkson, Cher. Like these are all the women, and the common thread in all of them is strong women. But yeah, I would say probably my favorite is Queen Bee. Thank you all for the agreement in the comments.
Well, Brooke, again, thank you so much from NCNAYO and everyone here for being able to speak and answer all the questions for us today. And if there are no more questions, wait a second. I'm going to pass it over to Kaylani and Dylan, our female and male co-chair.
Thank you so much.
Hey y'all, and welcome to our conference this year. So our next portion of the conference, we're going to move into our college student panel. And for our students, we have Logan Locklear from UNCP and I'm so sorry, Zach Jacobs from UNCP and Taylor Williams from Chapel Hill. So Zach, could you start with a little introduction?
Of course. So, let me turn on my camera. Hold on. All right. Hey, y'all. My name is Zachary Jacobs. I am from North Carolina. I do attend UNCP. I am a rising senior. My major is social work, and I'm minoring in American Indian Studies. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Thank you. Taylor, could we get a little introduction?
Hey y'all, so my name is Taylor. I'm a student at UNC Chapel Hill and I'm going into my last semester, y'all. It's been a long run, but we almost there. And yeah, that's pretty much the basics of me right now.
Hey y'all, so I know deciding what college you want to attend to is such a big deal because that's a place you're about to spend 4 years at. So how did you guys decide what college you would attend?
Well, for me, I actually toured all of the colleges I actually applied for and got into. And when I toured UNCP, like it just felt like a whole different ball game instead of like being from Pembroke. Like it felt like it was a whole nother community. And actually, when I toured there, like you had students and faculty and staff walking by, greeting me to campus and like, welcome to UNCP, and I hope your tour is going great and stuff like that. So I really appreciated that. I already felt like at home and I was just touring school, because they didn't have to do that. And even every day on campus is still like that as a student. And yeah, and I really appreciate like the classroom size. So our average classroom size is actually like 20 to 25 students per class. And also our costs. So that really, put things in perspective, like for me attending UNCP. So actually, we're one of the 3 schools that have or is a part of the North Carolina Promise, which is the $500 tuition. So cost took effect in that as well.
For me, like I've always been a Tar Heel fan. I've always loved Carolina, but really the main reason why I went was because I got in. Like for me to get into a school like this, like Carolina, Chapel Hill, like I thought it was a big deal. So I was like, if they want me there, then I got to go there. So that's why I ended up going. And honestly, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. And I was really familiar with Carolina because I attended Project Uplift. And that was so much fun. Like everyone there just made me feel like I was at home and it was amazing. It was so much fun. And then I was so happy that my last NCNAYO conference was actually at Carolina because it was like I got to be there before actually moving there. And so that was really fun. And honestly, like y'all know about Carolina's like fans, like the love that everybody has for Chapel Hill, like the energy at Chapel Hill is just amazing and I love it.
How did you handle the culture shock of transitioning from your community to college or from high school to college life?
You want me to go first? Okay. So for me, it wasn't super hard because I went to Carolina with two of my best friends. Well, one of them was already there, but then Diane came in with me, and that was just a really fun experience. And to just have her by my side was everything. And then the Carolina Indian Circle at UNC really made me feel at home. And as soon as I met those people involved in that, that was it for me. Like, they're my new best friends, basically. And as far as like a culture shock, it was kind of a lot at first because going to a PWI is like you're nothing, kind of, in a way, like especially in the classroom. Like, I'd be like the only like brown student in there, and that would be kind of scary sometimes, but push through, and then just try to make friends the best way I could. And a PWI stands for predominantly white institution. And yeah, so besides that, just trying to make friends, that was probably the easiest adjustment, was to try and make friends the best way I could.
So for me, I would say more of like high school to college. So in high school, I made like all A's and B's and didn't really have to study. But of course, as you'll realize, in college, that's not going to work out. So really trying to figure out like what study skills are best for me, and also time management, and then utilizing resources. Try to figure out what works best for me using career. Like at USP, we have something called Center for Student Success. So they helped me out a lot with that, utilizing different resources and things like that. And I didn't have a huge like culture shock when it comes to community to college, because at USP you're going to see people that looks just like you. You're going to see a lot of Native people. So I like that as well. So I didn't really have a huge culture shock in that aspect, but most of mine was like the studying and things like that, and also like finding my community and stuff, just to get some type of support system and things like that on campus. So.
How have you gotten involved during your years in college?
So I was involved, excuse me, when I was on campus, I was a part of a dance group called Kamikaze, and that was the best experience ever. Like, everybody was kind of like on the same page. There was so many people from like different backgrounds and talents, and that was really fun. And to be a part of a dance group that's pretty common on campus, like a lot of people know it, and that was like awesome. And of course, the Carolina Indian Circle, that was nice. Like, I had got involved with CIC before like classes started, because they had like a cookout to kind of invite all the first years and everybody like back together. And that was really nice and welcoming. And ever since then, like, I just wanted to be involved with CIC and get to know more Native people on campus, because we were really the only Native people on campus. So we had to look out for each other and really get to know each other. And when I became involved with that organization, I didn't want to back out of it or rethink anything about being involved with that organization, because it's a really good home for me there.
So I am involved with the undergraduate admissions office. I work there as a Brave ambassador. I've been doing that since my freshman year. So my main job is to like communicate with prospective students and also give campus tours. I've also been involved with NASO, which is the Native American Student Organization on campus, since my freshman year, and now I'm president of that organization.
What did you do in college or high school that prepared you for college?
I would say going to an early college high school was the best decision that I've ever made, honestly, as far as school, because like, it prepared me in a sense that of what it's like to be working with professors and being in a classroom with people of other backgrounds than you. Like, of course, I had people from my high school in classes with me, but there were also people in like that I attended community college classes with, from like different backgrounds, especially if we were online. So like getting to know them like in discussion forums was really nice, and it prepared me that when I went to Carolina or whatever college, that I'll be working with people from different backgrounds, ages, and different things like that. So I think that's what prepared me the most, and that was the most help transitioning in the university.
One thing that really helped me was conferences like NCNAYO, going to different colleges and seeing about their resources and things like that like they offered, and then like trying to compare them. So like when we went to, say for instance, like Methodist, and seeing all the resources that they offered, trying to find resources that I seen there that I liked at UNCP, and trying to, you know, balance those out. And so I think NCNAYO really helped me transition from high school to college.
What advice do you have for our Native youth?
So, as we all know, aspects of community is really important to Native peoples. So when you get to campus, find your community. It doesn't matter if it's a Native organization, Greek life, or anything, even like an on-campus job. I feel like finding your community is very important because, you know, you'll build like a support system. So, and like, for instance, like NASO, we've kind of became a support system for people. And that's what kept me in NASO too. Like it was a support system for me, especially as a new student.
Yeah, I second that. Like at Carolina, we have this thing called a Fall Fest, and that's basically where all the student organizations on campus get to come out and set up like a booth type thing to inform mainly first years about their organization and different things like that. And I feel like that's the best way to find where you belong, or like where you think you might want to be a part of. And honestly, like another piece of advice I would share is to not be afraid to ask questions. Like always ask questions. Like it's intimidating upperclassmen maybe. Don't ever be afraid to ask questions, because you know, you never know, like if you're in this like any kind of situation where you might need like some help or anything like that. But just asking someone for that help, or with anything, like it can be study habits, study advice. 'Cause I still don't know how to study, like sadly, honestly, truly. But like asking people like how they study, how they like to do their work, where they like to do their work, that has really helped me. And so yeah, I will always ask questions. I'm that type of person, and coming to Carolina has let me learn to not be afraid to ask them, because they're not going to make you feel dumb or anything like that.
What are y'all's future plans?
So my future plan is to obtain my LCSW licensure, which is Licensed Clinical Social Work licensure, and open up a private practice working with queer and trans, Black, Indigenous, and people of color.
So I'm planning on graduating in December, and during that time, I'm going to be applying to get my master's in social work also. I don't know what area of social work I want to do yet, because you know it's so broad, but I'm hoping that in grad school I can figure out the best path of social work for me.
Are there any more questions? Y'all can jot them down in the chat, or you can ask. Okay, so we have one. How approachable are the staff, faculty, or administration?
So at UNC, there's a very, very small portion of Indigenous professors. And I actually took Cherokee language as my foreign language requirement, even though it's not a foreign language, but that's another conversation. And that was a really great class. Like I was really nervous, you know, because I was like, I'm learning a new language. Like, am I going to be with other Native people? Like, I was just kind of nervous on who I was going to be in class with. And it turned out to be a variety of people from backgrounds. Like, there were some Indigenous people there, and some white people there, like just genuinely wanting to know the language. So that was pretty warming to me. And my professor, I ended up having him for another class, and he was really nice. And at first he didn't really seem approachable, but once I got to know him better and like got to understand him and things like that, that really helped. And so just finding like a good advisor is also really important. Like I don't mind sharing this, but my first semester at Carolina, I was put on academic warning, and I had to meet with a specific like person like once a week. Her name was Jessica Ward, and she's Lumbee, I believe. And meeting her like changed my life. Like she has helped me out so much. And at first I was really nervous about talking to her because I didn't really know her like that. I just knew that I needed to do better in school and I had to get to know her regardless. But talking to her really helped, and she definitely helped put me on to more people on campus who could help me with anything I needed or be great advice for me. So I feel like finding that one person or advisor at your school can help you find other people as well.
Yeah, most definitely. And also, especially like your professors and things like that, that's the plus about the small class sizes at UNCP or any other school that has like really small class sizes. Like after class, you get to, you can go up to your professor. And another thing, like like small class sizes and things like that, they get to know who you are, you know who they are. So I think that's pretty nice as well. And then like what Taylor mentioned about the advisors and things like that, most of the first year advisors, which are mostly held in our Center for Student Success, they're all in one centralized area. So, I mean, you get to know all of those people too. So I think that's a plus.
So is there any more questions for our panel? Taylor, how have you been impacted by some of the recent incidents of the systematic racist some folks see in the news, or how have you currently managing them?
Honestly, talking about it has helped. Like I found myself like talking to peers and even people like older than me like about it, and like sometimes I talk to my parents about it, but sometimes they don't really help because they don't fully understand. Like, they understand and they know, like the systematic racism that goes on and stuff, but it's really hard to talk to them about it sometimes because they aren't my age or, haven't seen some of the stuff that I've seen, especially like being at a PWI. And so talking about that is what has really helped me. And I've also like found myself like kind of getting lost in it. Like if I see something on Instagram, then I'll go like on Google and do some more research. Like, why hasn't this been solved? Like what is going on to try and fix this problem? And so just trying to educate myself and talking about how I feel about it has really helped.
Do we have any more questions? All right, Taylor and Zach, thank you so much for coming to speak with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good day.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so we are now going to be moving into our workshop sessions. So we have two workshop presenters today, Miss Alicia Freeman and Mr. Stephen Bell.
So Mr. Stephen Bell's workshop is Mental Health, Strength in Spite of Our Suffering. His workshop is through the pandemic and social isolation, many milestones have been missed and our mental health has been greatly suffered. Participants will increase self-awareness and advocacy through talking through facing of many impacts of our well-being, mental health, red flags, and ways of leaning into our strength and managing intense feelings and thoughts.
And our next workshop session will be Interconnectedness, the Indigenous Resiliency Factor by Ms. Alicia Freeman. Participants will engage in an interactive workshop that explores the meaning and value of interconnectedness to Native peoples. Interconnectedness is a core strength of Native culture and a protective factor of our people that is minimalized by colonization. Throughout this workshop, we will identify ways we can prioritize various dimensions of wellness, including the social, emotional, and spiritual aspects of interconnectedness to increase resilience and thrive. So at this time, you can go ahead, Leslie.
I think we're going to say the same thing. So everyone, I have separated you out into breakout rooms, and you are going to go to these breakout rooms with our exec team. Your workshop will not last until 3 o'clock. So whenever your workshop ends, please just join the main room again, and we will begin again at 3 o'clock.
All right, welcome to the NCNAYO panel discussion for the Indigenous Pathways to Law. We're going to introduce ourselves really quick. I'm Rob Waldrop. I'm a rising 3L at the University of New Mexico School of Law. I'm Eastern Band Cherokee from the Qualla Boundary in Western North Carolina. I am getting my Indian Law certificate, and I'm pursuing my Juris Doctor. How about Dana? Can you go next?
Sure, I'm Dana Chavis. I am a 2020 graduate of the North Carolina Central University School of Law. I am Lumbee, grew up in Rayford, North Carolina, and I'm now living in Durham. Erin?
Sure. My name is Erin Locklear. I am a 2002 graduate of the University of North Carolina School of Law, and that's been a long time ago now. I am Lumbee. I grew up in Fairmont. For those of you familiar with that part of the world, I grew up in near Five Forks in the Dougalsville is what they technically call my neighborhood, between Five Forks and Fairgrove School. So that's where I grew up. I am currently the general counsel for the Raleigh-Durham Airport Authority. So that leaves Lydia.
Hey y'all, my name is Lydia Locklear. I'm a citizen of the Lumbee tribe. I'm from Pembroke. I went to Purnell Sweat and went to UNCP for undergrad. And then I went to Michigan State University College of Law for law school, and I got my Indian law certificate and my JD. And now I work as the deputy tribal attorney for the Catawba Indian Nation located in South Carolina. And I'm happy to be here with y'all.
All right, Erin, can you talk to us about some opportunities in the law?
Sure. I think one of the things that comes up a lot of times that folks wonder about with the law is, can you be a lawyer? If you're a lawyer, does that mean you automatically have to go to court? And some folks like to argue, some folks don't like to argue. So some folks want to be in court and some folks don't want to be in court. And I would say you can absolutely be a lawyer and not go to court. I would say most lawyers don't go to court. I think TV tells you differently. If you watch TV, it looks like every lawyer wears really fancy suits and goes to court, but that's not really how it works. I can tell you, I started my career doing courtroom work for the first 5 years, amongst a lot of other things, but now I don't go to court hardly at all. And some lawyers don't go to court at all. Some work in the legislature, some lobby, some work on forming a business or selling real estate, some do advocacy work, some do social justice work, some write wills, some write contracts, some help employers with personnel issues, and none of those involves going to court. So you can one way I think to kind of think about it is, people generally go to court when they're fighting about something, like an agreement that's gone wrong, and the two sides disagree about the agreement. But there were probably lawyers that were involved before that ever happened in figuring out whatever the thing was that went sour. So in this example, that helped write the agreement or helped give folks legal advice about the agreement itself. So you can absolutely practice the law without going to court, although many lawyers love going to court. And I know that Dana, she frequents courthouses in her work, so I'd be interested to hear from her.
So, opportunities in the law. I do go to court. Thanks for that heads up, Erin. I completely forgot to talk about my job earlier. I am a staff counsel with State Employees Credit Union, which is the largest credit union in North Carolina and the second largest in the country, I believe. And we have a legal services department, and I currently do litigation. So that's what I spend my days doing right now is writing complaints and motions and things like that to take to court. I travel quite a bit. I enjoy it. It's something interesting that I'm learning to do, but I don't foresee myself doing that forever. I have coworkers in my department who will never go to court. They do things like Erin mentioned, like personnel issues. We have a compliance group. They're reviewing everything to make sure we're compliant with like all the federal and state laws that, you know, we're regulated by. Other opportunities, I have classmates that would love to be professors at some point. That's not something I would ever see myself again doing. I've taught before. That's not my calling. But there are certainly lots of opportunities for people who obtain a law degree and pass the bar or not pass the bar. You can still use your JD degree, certainly. So, Lydia?
Yeah, thanks, Dana. I am one of those that are like, I don't want to go to court. I'm good. I'm going to stay out of court. But it's important to get that experience. So even though I said I don't think I want to be in the courtroom, I did moot court during law school. And so I had to write a brief and argue in court. And that gave me that experience. And so if I need to, I will definitely do it. Some people will just get a real thrill out of it, and they just want to stay in the courtroom. I'm in-house counsel for a tribe, and it's always been my dream to work for a tribe, and now I'm living my dream. And so when you're in-house counsel for a government, you encounter all sorts of things, like maybe you have to handle this some issue going on in the tribe. You advise usually the different branches of the government sometimes, unless you're a huge tribe and you have attorneys for each branch of the government. You draft contracts, you have to deal with all types of different law. And a lot of people are like, oh, you work for a tribe, what kind of law do you do? I'm like, all types, employment law, housing law, just everything, gaming law. So it's a lot, and I love it. I love learning new things every single week. It's really exciting. But before this, I was clerking at the North Carolina Supreme Court. So some people want to be judicial law clerks. And when you are a judicial clerk, you do a lot of research and you do a lot of writing. You help write memos, which are just summaries, a summary of a case and what this side is arguing and what that side is arguing. You also help draft opinions that later become, once your judge or justice looks over it, they really write the opinion and you help. But that becomes a law in the state, and that was really exciting to be a part of that. And I was clerking for Justice Anita Earls, and she's just an amazing, awesome, inspiring woman. But I was there for almost a year. But there were clerks there that were like career clerks. They had done it for 10 years. And I could see how they, when you get in the mood, you just know what to do, and then it comes second nature. And it was a really interesting and exciting job. I mean, you don't think sitting down and researching and writing all the time would be exciting, but you learn so much about everything: criminal law, administrative law, business law. It's just so much at the court. So working in the courts, not in the courtroom, but behind the scenes, it's a great opportunity in the law. And like Dana said, working in the schools, being a professor, I would love to one day teach a class, but I think that's exciting as well. So you don't have to go on and take the bar. Having a Juris Doctorate degree is just an excellent higher education degree. What about you, Rob?
Well, since I'm closer to the whole JD experience, I'm going into my last year. I could speak a little bit about some of the opportunities that you encounter while in law school. I think that law school is a really good place to dip your toes into a lot of different areas. Like Lydia was saying, moot court is a really good opportunity, especially if you don't think that you're interested in doing litigation and going to court a lot. I think it's important to get that experience. I did a moot court competition, and it's really important to understand, how to file things, how to draft a motion, how to, present yourself in front of the court. And there's also, subject areas that are tested on the bar and things that are not tested on the bar that you can take courses on that can pique your interest in an area, and you might want to, see yourself working in that area later on in your practice, whether you take the bar or not. There's several jobs that are labeled JD Advantage positions that allow you to take that position without having to take the bar at all. And I think that should be highlighted, because just because you're going to law school doesn't mean you have to be a lawyer. I think that there's a lot of opportunities that are overlooked, especially in studying Indian law, because Indian law is so vast as far as the interest areas go. I know Lydia talked about that. You practice every single area when you practice Indian law. And one of the really cool things about Indian law, particularly, is the fact that Indigenous people have their own traditional law too. And that's something that is often overlooked, and something that people just don't think about. One of the opportunities that you can get involved in law school is being on a law journal. I'm going to be the editor-in-chief of the Tribal Law Journal here at the University of New Mexico next year. It's a really important and worthwhile opportunity to have, just because you're able to work with scholars in the area and students as well who are trying to submit scholarship that's furthering the law in that area. And one of the really cool opportunities that I've had is right now I am a summer law clerk at the Native American Rights Fund in Boulder, Colorado. I'm doing a lot of research and writing, like Lydia was talking about, as a law clerk. And I've, had some really great experiences outside of that too. I was a research assistant last semester for a professor. And it was amazing just to, see some different areas of the law that I was not familiar with at all, doing legislative history research, which is very, very boring, but it was, interesting just to see what you don't want to do too, because I think that's just as important as finding something that you love. So we're going to transition now, and I'm going to ask Lydia to talk about the importance of Native practitioners and, maybe some Native practitioners that she's inspired by.
Thank you, Rob. On that same note about federal Indian law, I just want to say, we're all Native, and just because you're Native doesn't mean you have to do federal Indian law. We need you. We need more Native lawyers, Native practitioners. We definitely need more Native judges. In the federal courts of the United States, 230-year history, there have only been 4 Native Americans to serve as judges in the federal courts. Only 4 in 230 years. That's alarming. So our whole goal, the Indigenous Pathways to Law, our whole goal is to increase that number, increase the number of Native American practitioners, Native American judges. And so we would love to have you in our group, but I just wanted to throw that out there and talk a little bit about federal Indian law as well. It's the study of the federal government, the relationship between the federal government and Native American tribes. And then there's also the relationship between tribes and the state governments. But every tribe has its own culture, like Rob was saying, has its own laws. And tribes are political entities. They're self-governing bodies. And so that's why they can have that relationship with the state and that relationship with the federal government. So it's very complex because you have all this law up here, but then you also have the tribe's own laws that you have to learn. So it's exciting to do. Indian law is really exciting. But Rob, you asked me about any inspirational Native practitioners. I would say Julian Pierce. He was Lumbee. And in 1978, he became the first director of the Lumbee River Legal Services, which is located in Pembroke. and it's now legal aid. It's part of legal aid of North Carolina. So he spent a lot of his time serving Robeson County and the communities there. Some more inspiring practitioners would be Lydia Locklear. She's Lumbee, she's in DC, and she's argued in the Supreme Court many times, one of the first Native American women to argue in the Supreme Court. Really inspirational. And then I could go on and name more. I feel like I have a whole list, but I won't really go there right now. But there are so many inspiring, especially women. A lot of women that are just inspiring in our communities, in our tribal communities. Rob, do you have any that you want to mention?
Yeah, I do. I particularly want to shout out to our new Secretary of the Interior, Deb Holland. She was class of 2006 from UNM School of Law. And I want to shout out to my prior supervisor, Bonnie Claxton, the managing attorney of the EBCI Legal Assistance Office. She is very good at her job. She puts her whole heart in it and is very much there to put the needs of the tribe forward as far as tribal sovereignty goes, and on an individual level, tribal clients. And I think that's really what the practice should be about. And I can go on and on to mentioning several names, but I'll just leave it at that. Dana, do you have anyone that you wanted to mention?
I do, and one of them is actually a family member. My great uncle, Henry Ward Oxendine, he was one of the first Native students at the North Carolina Central School of Law. Right when desegregation was happening, he entered. He was in that first class of Native students who attended Central. I didn't know him that well. I met him when I was a teenager and didn't realize really who he was and what a part of history he was until I was much older. And so my school has honored him by putting, they have murals downstairs at Central, at NCCU. And he is in the mural, which is pretty awesome. But he was also the first Native American to serve in the North Carolina General Assembly, which happened shortly after he graduated from law school at Central. So he was the top of my list. Julian Pierce, of course, I have, my parents grew up with his family, and I remember when he was killed, unfortunately, and that made, I think, a bigger impact on me than I ever realized. But he kind of stood out, as a kid, knowing, because I didn't know my uncle at that point, my great uncle, I'd never met him at that point, and to see this happen played a huge impact on me as a child. And one of my good friends from college, Jody Cummings, we went to Duke undergrad together, and he is actually the general counsel for the Mashantucket Pequot tribe, tribal nation, in Connecticut. And they own this huge resort, which I'm sure Lydia knows a lot about that, being in that business herself. But and I would be, it wouldn't be fair for me not to mention Judge Brooke Clark. She actually did my swearing-in ceremony when I got sworn in last fall. She is married to a cousin of mine. So, I reached out and I was like, hey, I actually sent her a message on Facebook, and she was like, I would love to do it. So she was the first Native American woman judge in North Carolina. So I could go on and on, like I'm sure everyone else could, but now we're going to hear from Miss Erin.
The bad thing about going last in this question is everybody has said most of the names that I was going to mention. I was going to mention Julian Pierce. Obviously, I I watched a panel that his daughter Julia was on, and I told her, I too remember, Dana, when he was killed, and it made a huge, it's like one of those things you remember how old you were and how you felt when that happened. And I told her about that same time I discovered two influences in my life, Julian Pierce and Atticus Finch. And I felt like they're in good company with each other. So I was certainly going to mention Julian Pierce. I was going to mention Lydia Locklear, obviously. I was going to mention Brooke, Judge Brooke Clark, although I have to stop myself from saying Judge Brooke Locklear. Judge Brooke Clark, who I knew in law school and is just a fantastic person. I also was going to say Jody Cummings. I went to the School of Science and Math with Jody. We were friends there, and he's a great role model and just has done amazing things with his life and would be a great and is very inspirational as a person and in all the work that he's done. He's big fat fancy, y'all. So yeah, he's up there. I also would add to that list Matthew Scott, who has done big things as the DA in Robeson County, and I think is a true inspiration as well. So that was sort of my list. Overall, though, I would say, I would bet, as my mom says, I would bet dollars to donuts that if you meet a Native lawyer, particularly if you met a North Carolina Native lawyer, listen to their story because it's going to be inspirational, no matter. So even if we haven't mentioned the names, even if they're not well known or renowned, take time, meet with them, talk with them, reach out to them, whether it's the one up the road or the one across the country. It'll be well worth your time.
And I'll echo that, Erin. I wanted to also add Heather Knockeye. She worked for, and still I think works for, the National Indian Gaming Commission. She's done a lot for the Lumbee people, for our tribe, and for Native peoples throughout the country. And then, there's Angelica McIntyre. She's a Native judge in Robeson County, as well as Brooke. And Danielle McLean is the attorney for the Lumbee tribe. So I wanted to give her a shout out. And then Candace Harkey is the managing attorney for the Legal Aid of North Carolina. And Judge Dees, well, he used to be a judge, another Lumbee lawyer that, helped me while I was at Legal Aid and has been a servant of our community for decades. So I just wanted to recognize them.
All right. Thank you guys for that. And Dana, I was going to ask you about, talk to us about your journey in becoming a lawyer and just how to become a lawyer in general. Any tips you might have to the individuals that are watching this recording?
I had a very long journey to becoming an attorney. Like Erin, I was a graduate of the School of Science and Math in Durham, and go unis. And I went to Duke undergrad, planned to be a math major, and actually I wanted to be a math professor. That was my goal. Loved math, did not have a good math experience during undergrad, and started exploring different options. I took a class on Native American history with Dr. Peter Wood, and through that class, I just developed more of an interest in learning about, Native history, and then the law just kind of fell into place. That was in 1995, 96. So I didn't actually start law school until 2016. So there's like a 20-year gap. In the interim, I got married, got divorced, had my children, and attempted to go back to law school again in 2006 at Campbell. That didn't work out. I went through the what they call the PBAP program, And I do have to mention that during my undergrad career at Duke, you know, like a lot of Native students, there wasn't a lot of support on campus. And when you grow up in an environment like I did that was very structured, even though I had the science and math experience, when I got to Duke, I did not adjust well. And I actually failed out of college, like completely. Like never in my wildest dreams would, you know, I've ever imagined that that would happen to me. So I took 2 semesters off. I had to reapply to get back in. And so again, I was still like, you know, I don't know if I can even go to law school at this point. Like I literally had on my transcript all F's for that semester. Parents were not happy. You know, it was a lot going home with that. So, you know, I in 2006, when I didn't get into Campbell, I said, I'm going to school. I wanted to go back to school. So I started my master's program at UNC Pembroke, got my degree. I was working full time by that point. And when I graduated in 2011, that desire to go to law school was still there. So 2 years later, I took a job. I was working at the credit union at the time, had been working there since 2005 as a teller, loan officer, all kinds of things. I took a job in 2013 and I came to Raleigh, and I was in the trust services department, and my boss had just started law school at Central. And it was like bells went off, you know, it was like, this is the aha moment. And she said, I can't promise you that we'll pay for you to go to law school. And I was like, I don't care about that. I know I want to go. So I took the LSAT in 2015, the fall of 2015. And again, got into the PBAP program at Central. They said, maybe we'll accept you. I was just glad to get the letter that says they're giving me a chance, because I knew what my undergrad, you know, my undergrad grades were not great. I did have a 4.0 in my master's program, but they don't care about that. They look at your undergrad grades. And I was successful in PBAP and got into the evening program. So that meant I was working full time, going to law school 3 nights a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, from 6:30 to 9:30. That I still don't know how I did it. I had 2 kids. One was they were both in high school when I started. One graduated from law school graduated from college. And the other one is still in college now. But I did it, you know, I graduated last year and during COVID. And
y'all, not to be interrupting Dana, but the night program at the North Carolina Central University School of Law is incredibly challenging and difficult. Like, that's amazing.
It's
amazing.
It was unlike anything I ever imagined I could even do. So, you know, the road to law school is not always an easy one. It's not always, you know, you graduate with great grades from undergrad and you apply and you get in and then you go straight. Not everyone has the same path. I wouldn't want to discourage anyone, because if anyone had ever looked at my transcript from undergrad, like they would say, oh, she's never going to law school. But, you know, I did. I graduated with honors from law school at Central and passed the bar on the first time. And that was an accomplishment in and of itself during COVID. So that still blows my mind that happened. It's still very surreal that I'm here. But I don't remember what else I was supposed to talk about. Anyone want to help me out here?
Any tips that you can give the students on if they are interested in going to law school?
Law school requires a lot of reading. So if you don't like to read, learn to like to read, or at least develop the habit of reading and read different things. Like I think just being able to read and analyze, the classes that I took, like as a history major, certainly helped me. Anything in the social sciences. Not to say that people with, who are interested in science and math can't do well in law school, because that's certainly not true. But I do think that when you have that analytical skill that you develop from reading, that's definitely a good tool to have. And start early. You can wait 20 years like me, but I don't advise that route. Lydia, let's jump over to you.
Hey. Well, my law school journey was, I didn't know. When I was y'all's age, I did not know what I wanted to do. But I did know I wanted to go into higher education. I knew I wanted to go to college. And so if you're sitting there now and you don't know what you want to do, but you want to go to college, or maybe you think you don't want to go to college, you could always change your mind. And that's why it's so important now to make good grades and do your best in school, because you never know what you'll want to do, and law schools, med schools, higher education, they look at those grades. They're important. But like Dana said, they're not everything. Schools are looking for a well-rounded person. So definitely get involved in your community. And, one way to get involved in your communities is to be involved in this group, the Indigenous Pathways to Law. So I'll just put that out there. But it wasn't until college at UNCP that I took an Indian law class, and I was like, I love this. I love it. So then I was kind of late to the game. I decided I wanted to go to law school. I didn't have like any guidance. So that was kind of overwhelming. But to echo what Erin said earlier, reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out to Native lawyers in your community. Every single Native lawyer I've ever reached out to has been immensely helpful. Never, I've heard people talk about, I met such and such, they're an attorney, and they weren't really helpful. Maybe they saw me as competition. I've never felt that way. They've always been so nice and so helpful. So don't be afraid. If you have lawyers at your church, reach out to them. So I just want to encourage that. And so I decided I wanted to go to law school, and I found this program called the Pre-Law Summer Institute. It's in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's 8 weeks. It's a law school boot camp for Native students. It was my first time away from home. I cried. It was very tough, but it is so intense. And you take first year law classes plus an Indian law course, and it's intense, but it was some of the best times in my short life. You become so close to the other students in the program, and you meet students from around the country. And so it was an awesome experience, and it prepares you for law school. And then there are some people that were in that program with me that decided they didn't want to go to law school. And that's why programs like that are important. Job shadowing a lawyer right now at your age is important. Just ask them, maybe you're interested, maybe you're not. And so just as important as knowing what you want to do is knowing what you don't want to do. So those are just some short tips. So I went to law school at Michigan State, and I loved my experience there. I took Indian law courses. I took, obviously, the general law courses that you have to take to get your JD. And I was very involved in the Native American Law Student Association and the National Native American Law Student Association. I did the NALSA moot court competition. And so again, I'm stressing that it's important to be involved in your community, in your school, wherever you're at, whatever stage you're at in your life. It's important to be involved. And then fast forward, that no one really talks about when you're talking about going to law school is the bar exam. So Dana touched on that. It's super hard. Law school is 3 years. You think 3 years and I'm gonna be a lawyer. Then the bar exam hits you in the face. So I'm cruising, everything's great. You think 3 years and you're good. it may be 6 years. You know, for other lawyers, it may be 10 years. You know, I've seen and heard of lawyers taking the bar exam like 10 times. And they do it. You know, some just decide, okay, it's not for me, and they do something else, and that's okay. Some are, you know, persistent, and they eventually pass the bar exam. The first time I took it, I was, I think, 11 points away from passing in North Carolina. And then I took it back to back. It's only offered twice a year. I took it the next time it was offered, and I was closer, but I failed again. And so just imagine this discouragement. Dana talked about rejection. You know, I've been rejected from plenty of law schools. Well, not plenty, but this is another important tip. Cast a net, not a line. You know, there may be one school you really want to go to, but it's important to cast a net and apply to different law schools. You know, be diverse. So I did, you know, I didn't get into some law schools. I got into some other law schools. I was waitlisted at one. So that's important, but that didn't really bother me too much. Like, I got where I wanted to go, Michigan State. Passing or failing the bar exam, that's important because you can't practice law. Every state has their own bar exam. And then there's something called like the UBE, a universal bar exam. And I think about half the states have adopted that. So if you take the UBE in one state and score high enough, you can be sworn into another state, depending on if they have the UBE. So after that, I was just like, wow, I need to keep going. And so I heard that North Carolina was adopting this UBE exam the next year. But there was a bar exam that I could take within this year, right, for example. And so I said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not waiting any longer. So I took 3 exams back to back, and I went up to DC and I took the UBE, which was a different exam than the one in North Carolina that I took. And I passed, and I scored high enough that I can be barred in like half the states in the country. I'm barred in North Carolina, South Carolina, and DC. It's just, my friend, he wrote an article, and I love this quote. He said, "Rejection hurts. Repeated rejection stings. Befriend it anyway." And that is like, I love that quote, and I embrace it. You know, like Dana didn't give up. I didn't give up. There were things in my life during that time that could have slowed me down, but if you have a goal, do everything you can to meet that goal. So I just want to say it's okay to be rejected. It's okay to be rejected again and again and again. Keep moving, because it's not just you that you're doing it for. You know, it's your family, but it's your whole community. You know, it's your tribe. And you know what motivated me was, our people are depending on us to give them better. You know, and so me as an attorney, I was like, I want to learn as much as I can. I still want to learn as much as I can, so I can offer our people the best, legal assistance. And so that's kind of my story is, if you get knocked down, just get back up and keep going, because there are so many people relying on you and behind you, pushing you and supporting you. Erin, do you want to tell us a little bit about your journey?
Sure, I'd be happy to. And I think it's really interesting hearing the two of you, extremely educated, extremely well-spoken, very well-respected, very high-achieving women, talk about challenges in your road. And I think it's a really great lesson to folks to say, it won't be perfect. And everything may not be a Prince Charming moment where you try on the glass slipper and it fits. You know, sometimes you're going to have to work and try and work and try and take a turn and take another turn and go over a bridge, build your own canoe to go under the bridge. I mean, to hear the two of you, I think this is a really great example and very heartwarming examples of, we think success looks like a straight line, but it really is a plate of spaghetti. And I think that you two have really shown that in a very heartfelt way, and I really appreciate hearing your stories. As for me, my mama always said when I was growing up that I should be a lawyer because I would argue with a stop sign. And even though I didn't believe that then, I think, as always, Mama was right, because clearly here I am. But I will say I went to college at Princeton University. And when I started college, I was absolutely sure what I wanted to do. There was very little doubt in my mind. I was going to be an engineer. You can see exactly how that worked out because I sit here not as an engineer. I was an engineer in college for almost 2 years, and I really didn't like it. I really was pushing through and persevering because I thought it was the right thing to do. And I thought I'd get a 4-year degree and I'd be able to get out and I could make money and I wouldn't have to go to graduate school and I'd be set. And I really just didn't enjoy it. I was so sure of that path and I really did not enjoy it. So at some time I sort of said, I need to forget engineering. And in taking those classes, that curriculum is so filled up, there's very little chance to pick things that you want to take just because you enjoy them. And when I decided not to do engineering, I said, I'm really going to take this opportunity. I'm just going to take classes that I enjoy, because that was such a, it just seemed so amazing to me that I could pick classes and I could take things that I enjoyed. So I took a real wide sort of swath of classes, and a couple of those classes really were what led me to law school. One of them was American Constitutional Interpretation, where a law school professor, former law school professor, taught us about the Constitution. And that's a powerful document. That's a powerful history to learn. And it's very powerful to look at it through a legal lens. And that was really the first time I had done that, critically thinking about the foundations of our country through a legal lens. So I thought that was really interesting. And then I took a class called The Psychology of Justice, which was basically about, it was a psychology class, but it was about how we perceive justice and how who we are and our life experiences and our cultural experiences really give us a lens to think about what we think of as justice. And man, I just thought that was an amazing way to think about it, because I think before then I didn't see all that spectrum. I saw it's black and it's white. But learning the law and being introduced to the law in that way really showed all the gray. That's all in there. And I see everybody nodding because much of what we all do is work in the gray. So those classes really showed me that my mama was right. I should have just listened to her from the beginning. And y'all don't tell her that I said that.
Always right, Erin.
Yeah, always. And so yeah, that's what led me to apply to law school, and really led me through what was a very challenging time as an undergrad. Really helped me sort of carve my own path and figure out a way to put academics and my cultural beliefs together in this package that I thought was really interesting and really drew me to it. So yeah, I think if I was to give folks tips on applying to law school, one of them would be, don't be so sure that you're right. Listen to me. Don't be so sure that you're right, that you give yourself this narrow road. You never know where you're going to find that diamond, and be open to finding it. Do things that make you uncomfortable. Work really hard. Getting good grades is never a bad thing. Never, ever, ever. It always will help you. Always, always, always. I echo what other folks have said. Try to get exposure or experience with the legal world now, whether that's through volunteering, interning, getting a part-time job as a mail delivery clerk, whatever it might be. Just being around lawyers is really going to be helpful. That's shadowing, reaching out to lawyers. I know all the lawyers within IPL would be happy to hear from anybody and would be happy to talk to you. And I think also one tip I would say is that sort of idea of not being so narrow is, I think there's an idea of, well, what will I major in when I'm in college to be able to go to law school, right? Because for other Like if you're in med school, that's a really regulated curriculum that you need to take in order to get to med school. But law school is much more open. And I think there's a real assumption that you should major in politics or history to go to law. And you can do that. That's totally fine. Nothing wrong with any of those. But you can major in anything and go to law school. What I think is most important is that you find something you care about and you do well in it, and you really maximize that opportunity. I ended up majoring in sociology, and I had a minor in American studies. That worked fine. That worked great for me. Some folks are really interested in science, and they may get an undergraduate degree in science, and they really set themselves up to be a patent attorney eventually. So there's really no one way to get to law school. The thing that I would just say is hustle, 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 hustle. You know, they mentioned pre-law programs that have been mentioned, hustling to find lawyers that you can talk to shadow, and hustling to get scholarships or figuring out other information. You know, looking at NALSA and National NALSA, great groups to get ideas and information from. Yeah, so I think overall I would just say, don't be so sure that you're right, but also I think, as we've heard from this panel, don't be so sure you're wrong either. You know, just hustle, 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 and you just never know what might happen and what might come. So Rob, be nice to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. Now I don't want to go last. You guys are really inspiring. I definitely had the same kind of experience. I thought that I knew what I wanted to do, but it turns out I didn't. I started my undergrad in New Orleans, actually, at Loyola University and Tulane University. And I was first a biology major. I wanted to go to med school. That didn't work out. I hated it. I then, was really interested in literature. I didn't like that either. And the one thing that really, grabbed my attention and held it was a course that I took on ancient Greek philosophy. And so I switched my major to classics. And after becoming a classics major, I quickly realized that the program that I was in really didn't fit with where I wanted to go at the time. I wanted to be Indiana Jones. And so I transferred to UNC Chapel Hill, and I finished my undergrad degree there. I still wanted to be Indiana Jones all the way until the last semester of my time at UNC. And then I took a course on Shakespeare. And it's really odd to say, but that's what made me want to go to law school. There's several different themes throughout Shakespeare's plays, but justice is a big one. And it's talked about in nearly every single one of his plays. And it was something that I ended up writing the paper for the class about. And after thinking about it and thinking about, where I wanted my career to go, as far as going to law school, I thought about, where do I want to serve my community from? Because that was really important to me. I took like an introspective look at what I was studying, classics, ancient Greek language, Latin, and Roman culture, and thought about, well, that was the driving force behind the people that conquered the Americas. And I thought, well, that's a really important perspective to have if you want to serve a tribal community, knowing how, this entire philosophy of the conqueror was built, and knowing how it can be dismantled as well. I took that thought and I took a little bit of time off. I worked for the Harris Cherokee Casino for a couple years. I worked at Disney, and yeah, I lived and worked in a bunch of different places in that time. And then I started applying, and I did a lot of research, and I actually only applied to schools that I actually really wanted to go to. I did not apply, I didn't actually cast a very wide net at all. I applied to 5 schools, and those 5 schools were places that I knew that I could see myself at, that had a good program in Indian law, because that's where I wanted to focus my attention, but also had a wide variety of things that they were known for besides just Indian law, in case, there was a flicker of my mind changing or anything of that sort, so I could, still diversify if I needed to. And then I took the LSAT. I definitely recommend doing a prep course for the LSAT. I think it's really important. The LSAT is a really useful tool to have on your side, on your application. Also, all of your application materials, make sure to have several eyes look over them. Make sure to have any of your undergrad mentors, professors, even high school teachers, if you're still in touch with them at that point. Have everyone you can look over them, and make sure to build some good references in your time throughout your undergraduate journey, if law school is where you want to be. Think about PLSI, as Lydia mentioned. It's a really great program. I wasn't able to do it because I was working at the time, but all of my friends have done it. It's really important to, stay involved throughout your undergraduate career. And something else that Erin had mentioned, several people expect you to major in political science or history or something like that to go to law school. A lot of admissions committees are actually, discouraged by that just because they see so many. So I think that having diversity in your application is really important. So take what you want to as your undergrad major, take the courses that interest you, and really see where you can go from there. And if law school is still what you want to do after that, go right ahead, because they love to see people from various backgrounds. And I think that the best thing that I've done since I got into the school where I wanted to go was getting involved very early on. I think one of the big mistakes that first year law students make is being kind of apprehensive about getting involved, just because, the first year is really important as far as your grades go. But at the same time, I still think that it's plausible to be able to juggle all of that and be able to get involved some as well. You don't have to do everything. You can, limit yourself to one commitment, and that could be it. My first year, I was involved in the Native American Law Student Association. My second year, I was vice president of the UNM NALSA, and next year I'll be the president. This past year, I kind of overcommitted myself, so you definitely have to watch out for that as well. It's hard to say no sometimes when you start to get into your community, especially when you know that what you could be doing would be helping people in the long run. But at the same time, I think, your own well-being is very important, especially when you're trying to be successful at the very end of your career. And that's really the tips that I have. In high school, focus on getting good grades, challenging yourself, taking those advanced placement courses, making sure to reach out early to talk to people who are in the legal profession, whether it be lawyers, paralegals, anyone that, does anything related to the law, people in the legislature, people that, write contracts, people that have never been in a courtroom, but still work on things that are related to the law. Get all those perspectives, because you never know what you might be interested in. And I think that is about all the time that we have. If any of you guys would like to speak a little bit more about the Indigenous Pathways to Law program before we hop off, that'd be great. Otherwise, you guys can field your questions to our live discussion panel.
I just want to add thank you, everyone, for listening to our stories. Like Erin said, reach out to us if you have questions. Our contact information can be provided if you would like it. And please become involved with our group, the Indigenous Pathways to Law. It's a mentorship program to North Carolina's tribal communities. As you know, we have 8 tribes here in North Carolina, so many Indigenous peoples throughout our state. And we are launching our mentorship program to you all. And we're excited about that, where you will be put with a mentor, someone that can meet with you either in person or virtually like this and guide you. You know, what classes should I take? Where should I apply for college? I mean, a mentor can help you with school related questions and personal questions as well. I mean, just life questions. And so we hope that you become involved in our program and our mentorship program. And we meet regularly, monthly, to just have discussions like this. So we hope that you all will join us.
Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can get involved any way that you want to. We have a mentorship program. You can contact us individually, however you want to proceed. Thank you, guys. All right, welcome.
Hello, everyone. We will get started in about 3 minutes. So hello everyone, we are going to jump right back in. I really hope that you took a short little break, but more importantly, I really hope that you have enjoyed our early afternoon session. I am so thankful to Alicia and Stephen for providing that workshop opportunity for our youth. So again, thank you all. And I also want to say thank you to Indigenous Pathways for Law for their interim video that they shared. They will be having a live panel discussion tomorrow at 1:30. So please be sure to come back tomorrow if you have questions about law school, because they will be available to ask those questions. So I do want to thank them for providing that video. At this time, what we're going to do is we are going to turn it over to Miss Lydia, and she is going to facilitate our live panel on our conference theme, Native Resilience Breakthrough to Excellence. And Lydia, if you give me a second, I'm going to stop sharing and spotlight our panelists as you begin.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, so we're going to be doing a panel about our theme, Native Resilience Breakthrough to Excellence. Our panelists, the order that we'll go in is Miss Gwendolyn, then Mr. Joshua, then Caitlin. So as soon as Dr. Leslie spotlights y'all, we'll start with Miss Gwendolyn. If you could do a short introduction, including your name and your current job.
All right, we should be good to go. Whoever wants to jump in first.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
How are you? Congratulations, Lydia. I haven't had a chance to talk to you or tell you congratulations on your new title. I know you're excited about that.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Gwendolyn Chavis, and I'm currently serving as the president of United Tribes of North Carolina. And I'm also working part-time at the Lumbee Tribe, coordinating one of our educational grants, Project 3C, which focuses on American Indian students and giving them experience and skills necessary to develop their self-efficacy and increase their congruence between their interests and career choices. I'm truly honored that you've asked me to participate in your live panel today, and I look forward to the discussion.
Thank you so much. Mr. Joshua.
Hi, everyone. It is a pleasure to be able to be here with you all today. As Lydia said, my name is Joshua Richardson. Call me Josh. And I am happy to be able to be here to share with you all today. I am currently a practicing attorney. I practice in the state of North Carolina and DC. I'm licensed in both jurisdictions currently. The firm I work for, Buckley LLP, I represent clients that some are in financial litigation matters, other are in regulatory matters in a highly regulated space related to banking and other issues of that nature. I also help with a lot of pro bono matters as well, as far as housing, family law, and some criminal matters. And I also currently serve as the legal counsel for the Halawassaponi Indian tribe, my tribe, to be able to assist navigating different legal issues. That is something that I'm very passionate about and enjoy doing the most. As they say, you know, you do different things to alleviate and to tie into things that make you happy and to give back. And so I'm happy to be able to give back to my people, our people, home community, and just to be able to help navigate a lot of the things that we often don't have access to on an equal basis compared to others in different industries. So serving as an attorney, I'm able to do those things. And also, I also help Amber and the others of our organization, Indigenous Pathways of Law, as well, to help others that are interested in law school take that journey. And I'm also available as a resource with that as well. So happy to be here with you all today. Thank you.
Thank you. And then our Miss Indian North Carolina, Caitlin.
Hey everybody, I'm so thankful to be here. As Lydia said, my name is Caitlin Deal and I am the reigning Miss Indian North Carolina. I currently am a student at the University of North Carolina at Pembroke, where I'm majoring in elementary education. I do hold a few jobs on campus. I serve as an orientation leader and peer mentor for new students. And I do also work off campus at a local frozen yogurt shop. And I am very excited, thankful that you asked me to be on the panel today. I'm excited for the discussion as well.
Thank you. So our first question is, how have you shown resiliency in your life? And whoever feels like answering first can go.
I'll go. According to the Oxford language, resiliency is defined as the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties and toughness. When I think of resiliency in my life, I think of being flexible, adaptable to change. We certainly have had to do a lot of that this past year with the pandemic. I'm a firm believer that change is inevitable. We have to be willing to adapt to situations by being more understanding of others, their emotions. We have to be willing to practice resiliency if we can maintain control of situations and construct new ideas to tackle things that we may be facing in life. Because guess what? Life will happen. It's going to happen, the good and the bad. And to me, resiliency has to do with how you're going to react to the things that happen in life as well. The biggest thing to me when it comes to resiliency is to be confident in who you are, create positive, purposeful relationships throughout life. That's major. For me, that's major. And be willing to face challenges because they are going to come your way. And this will help you become more and more resilient as you navigate your way through life. I can say that as the elder panelist. I'm not going to say the oldest, of course I am, but having completed, I've retired and gone back to work part-time. So I've had to navigate some of the things in life, the challenges in life to help me become the Native woman that I am today. And it does make a difference in how you react to those kinds of things.
I'll jump in next. So resilience, I believe, takes on many different definitions and forms depending upon who the person is and what it looks like for them, because no one story or one journey is the same. And for our people, especially, we have had to be resilient or we would not be here. And we've had to overcome many different times situations where people did not want us here, or where we have the entire language that we always say, we're still here. And we say that because we are resilient. And for me, coming from Hollister, North Carolina, like most of our people from rural communities, at times we're often thought that, just like many from our home communities, that think that we won't ever be what we want to be, or that we can't do things that others have done. So like for me, I've been in classes, not necessarily in the home community, but different ones throughout my career through school, where people have said, well, maybe you should try doing this because I don't know that you can do that, or that you have the skills to do that, or the background, or that the support system. And I love when people say that, because a part of resilience for me is, I'm going to show you that what you're saying is wrong. I'm going to show you better. And so a lot of us have had to prove that in different ways. All of us have, and it have different stories for it. No one person you ask wouldn't have something that they could say that they had to overcome to be where they are. And a part of resilience is also shaping the elasticity of realizing that you bounce back from things. We have to realize that things that we face in life, they make us stronger. Our people are where we are today. I'm an attorney today because of the things I've had to face and being resilient. So having people tell me that I wouldn't be good enough or that I could not be an attorney, to give context that there's 1.2 million attorneys in the United States, and there's only 0.02% of that number are Native attorneys. So we're talking a couple hundred. Me and Amber and many of my colleagues that are Native attorneys, we always say, we're trying to move that needle up. There needs to be more, because that's how we get the representation we need. So for me, resilience has been proving people wrong, that just because I come from Hollister, just because I may speak with, as we all have the country accents at times, and sometimes it shows more, especially when we're home around our people, it doesn't make me any different. And one thing I would say is that even in the courtroom, I love it, because when I do cases and things, people will say, well, you know, he's a nice guy. He sounds like, you know, he might be from the country, and they underestimate. And underestimating someone is the worst thing you can do, because then I have the perfect opportunity to show you just what resilience is about when I have that oral argument or I present that case stronger than you, because you underestimated who I am, my background, and my roots. So for me, resilience has been shown through my ability to overcome obstacles that have been placed in front of me, remembering that my people, my community, my loved ones are always behind me, that we support one another to get where we're headed, and that our faith continues to carry us forward, because we have to remember that we're here today for a reason. This panel is for a reason, because we have purpose, and we have to continue to walk into that purpose and realize that the way we do that is to be resilient, to learn from every experience and continue to grow. So as an attorney today, I say that I'm here to give back, because the resilience I have, I want to help others see that everything they do, they can be resilient too, and not let anyone tell them that just because we're Native American or just because we come from a small town, wherever that may be, that we can't do and accomplish everything that we set our minds to, because we certainly can do that and more. Thank you.
Resilience for me is snatching off the labels that society has placed on us as Native Americans. Statistically, we're not supposed to go to college. Statistically, Native women are 10 times more likely to be raped, kidnapped, than any other woman. And for me, resiliency is waking up every day and choosing to overcome those stereotypes, to be the best version of yourself every single day. I'm coming to y'all from Arkansas. We're in Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm here with my family, and I'm here with no one who looks like me. It's my family, and everyone else looks completely different than us. And sometimes it is so easy to want to fit into the crowd, or to want to maybe straighten our hair a little more, or put on a little more makeup. But I feel like resiliency is being brave enough to be confident in your own skin around people who are different than you, being able to be proud of your culture, and being proud of your heritage and who you are, where you come from. I think about my grandma, or even my dad was telling me, or he talks about a lot, the food they ate, they picked straight from the field. The money they got that's where they worked extremely hard. And so we're extremely blessed to be able to be where we are now, and that is because of resiliency. And I love what Mr. Josh said. It's because of the people before us that we are where we are now. And so a part of resiliency also is rubbing off on someone else. I feel like if we're here uncomfortable in front of all of these different people, let's look at our Native youth and tell them, you are beautiful just the way you are. You can be resilient and overcome the stereotypes of, oh, you talk country, you're uneducated, you must not go to college, or you must not be smart. We are smart, we are educated, and we are resilient. And that's what Native resiliency means to me.
Thank you so much. All of your answers were beautiful and amazing. And this question sort of goes hand in hand with the previous one. How do you define Native excellence?
Well, for me, when I hear the word Native excellence, I think of a French-inspired phrase that I've sort of lived by for a long time. Bloom where you are planted. In life, you're going to face circumstances that are going to require you take advantage of the opportunities that are before you. They're not always going to be the opportunities maybe that you want or thought they would be. But you're going to just have to trust those opportunities, believe in the process to persevere. You're going to face obstacles along the way to your excellence. But if you trust the process, it's going to be worth it. You're going to have to be your own cheerleader sometimes. But just like the theme for the conference, you will find your breakthrough to excellence, but you got to trust the process. And for me, along the way, there were times that it was hard for me to trust the process, whether it was for applying for a job or getting into school or attempting something for the first time. You know, just like when I became a member of the United Tribes Board, I had never served in that capacity with all the tribes of North Carolina. And that was a challenge, but I faced the challenge. I've enjoyed the challenge. And I think that's added to my Native excellence piece, because if you trust the process and give it all you have, then you will obtain exactly what you are out to obtain. Thank you.
That's great. So for me, Native excellence is one of those things where it's all around us. We just have to appreciate it and realize that for me, in my mind, Native excellence means walking into your purpose and realizing that we're all here because we have a purpose. Even when we face issues, because we're talking about resiliency, where people attempt to erase our purpose, discount our purpose, or make it less than something that it should be, we still have a purpose and we still have excellence that is going to occur when we accept who we are and our purpose and what we're here to do. And so oftentimes, like you'll hear the saying about that there's more than one path you can take to get somewhere and to accomplish the same thing. That's a part of excellence, because your journey doesn't have to look like anyone else's. It's not supposed to copy someone else's. And it's the part of the thing about giving back to the youth and younger generations is realizing that while we want to tell you our story about what we see as something excellent in our life, we want to encourage you to realize that your excellence is just as great, and it's going to be a story that is going to touch people in even a different way than our story would. So to me, excellence is not just about recognizing yourself, but it's about celebrating each other, building others up. For me, it's not about what I do, but it's about what I can inspire others to do and what I can help them accomplish and achieve, because you are truly in a sense of excellence when you can help others realize what their purpose is. And when your two purposes come together to the greater deal to accomplish whatever it might be, then so much more is able to just be able to be accomplished. And again, marking and showing people that as Native people, we are resilient and able to accomplish great things, because we're often told, I believe all of us have said this in some capacity, that we're not going to be good enough or that we can't do it because we just aren't. We don't look like other people that have done it. And history books, as we know, often don't tell our story. It almost, I mean, to be honest, most of the time they don't at all in many ways, because you don't see a lot of the highlights of our resiliency. You hear a lot about the things we went through at times, but even that is skewed. So a part of the excellence is coming back and saying that we can own the things we went through. We know the pain we've been through, but we're going to work together to accomplish things that other people said we could not. And on top of that, we're going to continue to move forward ourselves, because I think the biggest part of realizing excellence is being able to say that it's not just about self. The bigger picture is about everyone else. It's about our tribes. It's about our people nationwide and everywhere, because whenever someone asks for help or needs you, we should be there to help one another accomplish those things that speak excellence, to show people that Native people can band together, do what we need to do, but at the same time, we're going to give back and help others too, because Native people, especially with us coming from the smaller towns, we have that hospitality where we often help people who sometimes hurt us. The hands that often have done things against us, we give back to do things to help in areas for things that they're facing. And that shows another level of excellence, because at that point, we've rose to the occasion to say, you know what, we were hurt, but I'm not going to let you make me be the same person that you were to me. I'm going to show you that we can be better, we can help. And our excellence is not just about us, but it's about making things better for our people, but also the world as a collective whole. So I say that all to say about walking into your purpose. Sometimes we may not get that right. It's okay to make mistakes. We all make them. What is important is you own your mistakes, you accept them, and you realize those are teachable moments. I don't even sometimes say that they're mistakes. I say the best way to achieve excellence is realizing that thing that you once did well or that you did good, you can continue to improve and do better, because it is something to finally realize as far as excellence, that with grace, you can accept criticism, because the people who really mean well aren't trying to hurt you. They're trying to help you be better. And even the ones that are trying to tell you something that you feel is hurtful, take from that the power, empower yourself to continue to push forward. So walk in your purpose and realize that your excellence is not just about you, it's about your people, your tribe, and the world at large, because a part of that is realizing that we're here and we're just as excellent, if not more excellent than many others in many aspects. And together we will continue to be excellent in many areas. There's so much more for us to accomplish, and I'm excited to see it.
I love that so much. When you were speaking, I thought about my university, the University of North Carolina at Pembroke, that was created in 1887 to train Native American teachers. And now we are one of the most diverse universities in the Southeast. And so it's not about, okay, this is just for Native people. Who else can we bring up with us? And that perfectly describes Native excellence. Who else can I bring up with me as I'm on the way up? I think Native excellence is being able to walk into worlds, or walk in this world that was not created for us to thrive, and we're thriving in it. We are doctors, we are lawyers, we are teachers, we are preachers, we are business owners, we are whatever we want to be. And even though people tell us we aren't good enough, or we're just not quite there yet, Native people are enough. We are capable. I think I was listening to Miss Indian World, Cheyenne, as she was speaking one time, and it never really hit me. Like, it just hit me in the heart when she was saying, you are capable. Native people are just as capable as everyone else. And sometimes it gets so hard to just understand or try to keep that mindset that we are just as capable, but we really are. And Native excellence is being able to thrive in this world and pull somebody else up with us. I love that, Mr. Josh.
Thank you so much. My next question is, what advice do you have for today's Native youth?
Miss Gwen, I'm not sure if we can hear you.
No, ma'am, we can't.
I can go ahead and chime in if she wants to. So I'll go ahead and chime in, Ms. Gwen, while you take a look at that.
I just fixed it.
Perfect.
Sorry.
No problem.
Sorry. Okay. Again, speaking as the elder of the group, just going to share some pointers that have done well for me over the years. I would encourage you to seek opportunity. Don't wait for it to knock at your door. Josh has already mentioned about, walk into your purpose, get out there, seek it, see what's out there for you. Know your culture, be proud of who you are. I've watched Caitlin serving as Miss Indian North Carolina, and she is enough, and she does that so well. Blaze your own path. It's okay to be different. It's okay, and you will be different. Be kind to others. That's always important, and it'll get you a long way in life. Be lifelong learners. Wake up every day and decide you're going to learn something new. That's always been something I've tried to do, is to decide, today I'm going to try to find out something new, whether it's something I've read or just, talking to someone. But be lifelong learners. Be adventuresome. Possibilities are endless. Go on that zip lining that you've never tried. I haven't tried. I don't know if I'm going to try, but I may try that one day. And Josh alluded to this as well. It's okay to make mistakes. Mistakes are opportunities to learn. Brush yourself off, get back up, try it again. Pray to your Creator every day, because prayer changes things. And most importantly, have fun. Have fun. Love others and have fun. That's the best advice I could give.
So a lot of what I would say would definitely echo a lot of what Ms. Gwen has said, because those things are what make us just who we are. Don't be afraid to be yourself. I think a lot of times what happens is we're so caught up in the box of what is normalized. And I believe Caitlin mentioned this as well, about what someone feels like: the doctor, the lawyer, the business owner, the everyday person, even what the Native American should look like, according to things we've dealt with, that we see depicted about who we are. All of that means nothing as far as who you can be, because I think the greatest part of advice that I could give is realizing that you are your own person. You are an individual, and you were born with a purpose. You're here today and alive and well and able to attend this conference because you have a purpose. Everything that you do in life, every time you make an encounter, meet a new person, every place you go, and all things, just like the saying about there's a season and a reason for all things. I live that and believe that, because there are some people who will say that they believe a lot in luck, chance, and coincidence. I believe that all things happen for a reason and purpose. And I think that that's important for you to realize, is that we got to find the silver lining. So some of my friends often say to me, you're very positive about so many things. I just don't know how you're so positive about something that is happening to you that should be making you break down and cry. And sometimes I'll say that, well, I'm not going to give them what they want, because that's what they want to see, is that they break me. But I love the saying about, you can bend me, but you're not going to break me, because that's a part of resilience too, right? We're that elasticity about realizing that you're going to go through some trials. Our people and our ancestors, they went through a lot for us to be able to be here today. No matter what age group we're in, our youth all the way up to our elders, there has been a story, a path, and something that someone has went through. So realize that where you are in this very moment, in this day, what stage you're in, going into your next level of education and learning things that you're doing, it's all for a purpose. And I will say, in undergrad, for me, for sure, there were times where I would be in classes and say, I'm never going to use this. Why am I here? I met some of the best people in some of those classes, and those relationships, build relationships. Ms. Gwen mentioned about being kind. Kindness is extremely important, but realize that in that kindness, you also want to learn from one another. Those relationships you build are lifelong relationships that make a difference in the here and now, but also in the long term, because that is how you give back and how you continue to build bridges. So build bridges for others. Realize that someone built a bridge for you to help you get where you are. So a part of why I do these things that I do to give back is because I want to keep building bridges for others. The only way we can see our people continue to move forward and continue to grow and reach places that they have never been is by building bridges for each other. So each generation realize that where you are now, there is a purpose in that. And that when you come across something that's challenging, that makes you upset and cry, it's okay to cry too. We've all cried. And I don't think anybody can say they hadn't cried about something in their life. Even if you hadn't cried since a child or a baby, I mean, at some point you cried when you took that first breath that you had, I would imagine. So it's one of those things where tears are normal. They're okay. And our ancestors and our creator knows and sees it all and realizes that we're trying to be better. The thing is that you realize that when you do have those tears, that they're not in vain, that they're there to help you wash away that pain, and you pick up the pieces and you keep going. So a big part of advice that I want our youth to realize is that it's okay to start over. I went to law school in my late 20s. It's hard to believe now that like how the years fly by for us all. But at the same time, I kept telling myself that you're too old to go back to school to do that. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Well, meanwhile, I had watched my family members graduate at 50 and older with other degrees. So I said, you're only telling yourself that because you're looking for a reason to not do it. But I finally got out of my own way. Get out of your own way, put your own bias and the bias that people have tried to put on you, remove those. Sit down, meditate, pray about it, think about it, and realize that what you're going through and where you're headed is somewhere that no one else can write that story for you. Your story, your journey is your journey. So every day, give thanks for being here. I mean, when we have days that are rough and tough and we have great days, every day is a great day that you're able to wake up and say, I'm here. And you have to ask yourself and think with that mindset. So for me, I post inspirational posts daily on my social media, not because I'm looking for how many likes or comments. I do it because after I do my daily devotional, those things come to me to say, this is for someone or for you, no matter who it's meant for. That's my part of saying I'm putting this in the atmosphere to set the tone for my day. So one of the biggest three things I want you to keep in mind as advice is set the tone for your day by being positive and giving thanks, because words do mean things. What you speak and what you say and what you believe can shape your entire day and the things ahead for you. So speak into existence, walk into existence and purpose, the things that you want, act in the way that you want, and believe and receive what you're trying to accomplish. Also remember, again, pick up the pieces. When things don't go your way, that's okay. There's another lane, there's a detour you can go. There's many roads you can go. So I always say that where there's a roadblock, there's a detour. We see it everywhere we're driving. One way or another, you're going to get there. And I mean, and our people cross oceans, cross different conditions, and many times as our ancestors just to survive. So if they went through all of that, we can pick up the pieces in other ways to continue to move forward. And just realize that you are supported, because all of us on here, we're on here together to fellowship with you, to share with you, but also honored to be able to say that you want to listen, to hopefully learn from us. We're learning from you too. And Ms. Gwen mentioned, always be learning, always realize that each thing is a teachable moment. That's important. Respect one another, respect your elders, respect people younger than you and your age as well, and realize that those relationships you build and the way you act and walk in your purpose will not only impact your story and your journey, but people are watching you. And they're always watching you because someone's looking up to you, even though someone might say, there's no one looking up to me, I'm too young. You have younger generations. There's always someone, even if it's a toddler, who's watching. And so realize that you want to walk in your purpose and never give up, because we support you, others support you, your ancestors support you, and never give up, because it's not over until the Creator says it is, and you have a purpose. So keep moving forward.
I feel like so much of this discussion already has been about self-confidence, being comfortable in who you are and knowing that that is enough. And so one of my biggest pieces of advice that I would give to you is that you are enough. You may have heard me share my story about You Are Enough before. I was trying to get involved in an organization on campus, and twice actually. And I remember riding on the way home one day after I had been notified that I was not going to be a part of that organization. And the word that just kept going through my mind was failure, failure, failure. I felt like defeated. I felt like such a failure. And I heard the Spirit of God speak to me instantly and say, what are the last 3 letters of failure? And they are U-R-E, and you are enough. And when I tell you I took it and ran with it, I did. And I have been preaching it ever since. It's so easy as Native people, Native youth especially, to feel like we cannot serve our communities. We cannot do things that other people can, but we are enough. And really, that was not the capacity that God wanted me to serve in. And now I'm missing in North Carolina, and I'm able to serve so many more people. And so I'm thankful for that. My next piece of advice would be, don't be afraid to take up space. So this is something that I feel like I didn't learn until I met Miss Leslie. We were talking one day, and she was saying something about Native people. Well, anyway, Native people are one of the most humble people that I've ever seen. We are very humble people. We're always looking for ways to help other people. We never want to brag on ourselves. That's not who we are. And so I remember when someone was maybe writing their resume, and Miss Leslie was like, you have done so much more than that. You have so and so many hours. You've done this, and it can be hard to brag on ourselves. But let me tell you now, do not be afraid to take up space. Be proud you do take up space. And so be proud of that. My next piece of advice would be, keep your faith strong. Our faith is such a big part of who we are as Native people. So I would definitely say keep it with you in every piece of your life. One of my favorite actors, Denzel Washington, he said, before you go to bed every night, when you take your shoes off, push them so far under the bed. So that way, when you get up in the morning, you got to get on your knees to get them. And that's how you should start every day, on your knees, praying and starting your day off with prayer, starting your day off with meditation. I would definitely 100% say, please keep your faith strong. It's going to be so important, because as you've heard these other panelists say, it's going to be hard. Nothing is easy, especially nothing worth having is just going to come to you and fall into your lap. And so when we go through these places, when we go through these trials, that's only meant to make us stronger. It's important to have our faith tucked in our heart. It's so important to carry that with us. And my last piece of advice is, when you go to college and you're presenting something, or if you're even in high school and you're presenting something and you feel nervous, please know that you're not standing alone. You're standing, and thousands of your Native brothers and sisters are standing behind you. We are here with you. You are thousands of Native people strong. We are here with you. You are not alone, and you are enough. If I could leave you with anything today, I want to say that you are enough.
Well, thank you so much. That is actually going to be our last question for this panel. Thank you so much for spending your time today being with us. And I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Leslie Locklear.
So again, we want to just thank our panelists for sharing with us today. And what we are going to do now, we are actually going to have our executive committee speeches. I am so excited for this portion, because we do want to give them the opportunity to share, those that will be running for these executive positions. We are going to start out with the candidate for secretary, and I'm going to ask Jordan if she is ready to go. I see she just popped on. So Jordan, she is going to be responding to what is her vision for NCNAYO. So Jordan, you can take it away whenever you're ready.
Yes, ma'am. Sounds good. Hello, my name is Jordan Lloyd, and I'm running for the Executive Board Committee position of Secretary. Indulge me for a minute and allow me to share with you my vision for NCNAYO and my experience to help move our wonderful organization along. Over the last year, NCNAYO has allowed me to be more active in my Native community. It has given me the privilege of learning and socializing with a large number of my Native American peers who share my culture, my struggles, my joys, and my love for sewing back into our community. That being said, my vision for NCNAYO is to encourage and support unity along all American Indian youth in North Carolina. We can do this by implementing a mentorship program, pairing NCNAYO participants with NCNAYO alumni. This relationship will strengthen the NCNAYO alumni circle while providing NCNAYO participants with encouragement, emotional support, and knowledge both general and specific. The goal is to help build long-lasting relationships, gain networking skills, and support and advance American Indian youth in our desired career fields. Another way we can support our youth is by sharing scholarship information that is often overlooked. I propose, and I have no problem with starting and maintaining a Google Excel sheet that contains a list of scholarships and special programs that we as Native youth qualify for. Through this effort, the goal will be for our NCNAYO participants to take advantage of these scholarship opportunities and be able to graduate from college debt-free. These ideas, paired with my years of experience as the student body vice president and secretary at my high school, qualify me as your candidate of choice. I know I would truly be honored and prepared to serve as your next North Carolina Native American Youth Organization Secretary. So when you vote for Jordan. J is for judicious. I'll be judicious and always use good judgment when making decisions that affect the well-being of our organization. O is for obligation. I'll make it my obligation to attend every meeting and be attentive to what's going on. R is for responsible. I'll be responsible by taking notes that are thorough and keeping a pristine record regarding our wonderful organization. D is for dependable. Plain and simple, you can depend on me to represent you. A is for accuracy. My notes will be incredibly accurate and shared with the membership in a timely manner in order to keep everyone in the loop. And finally, N is for never hesitate. I'm here for you and to serve NCNAYO. I'll never want you to hesitate to ask me any questions, and I want us to collaborate with one another in order to move forward our organization. So remember, vote Jordan and let my vision and experience work for you. Thank you.
Jordan, thank you so much for that amazing speech. And now we are going to turn it over to Dylan, our candidate for male co-president.
Hey everybody, so my name is Dylan Hammonds and I do serve as the male co-chair now. So going into my second term, my vision for NCNAYO is to really build NCNAYO back from the ground up, because let's be real, COVID-19 really has put a pause in NCNAYO. Our engagement has really went down. So I think once we go back sort of in person, our engagement will become better, because I am a rising senior right now. And my grade was the last grade to attend an actual NCNAYO conference. So many people don't even know what NCNAYO all entails. So going into my next year, we really need our community and youth engagement to increase. And that's what I would love to do with this new executive board. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dylan. And our last candidate is our candidate for female co-president, Celia Lowry.
Hey y'all, so this is so nervous because I hate speaking. But my name is Celia and I am running for a female co-chair. And as a proud, very proud member of NCNAYO for the past 2 years, I've learned a lot. I have created tons of new relationships from people from many tribes. Like, I have never known people from like that's Coheri or that's Siouan, and I've created relationships with those people because of NCNAYO, and for that I am so grateful. But a major goal of mine as a person and as a member of NCNAYO is to create a more inclusive feeling NCNAYO. I go to an early college, and out of all the people that's there, there's a handful of Native people. And most of those Native people are either half white or half Black or half Hispanic, and they feel that they shouldn't be included because they're not fully Native. And as much as I try to inform them, you're still Native, you still have Native blood, you're still a Native youth, they just feel like they aren't included. And we had a past YDS person that didn't make them feel included as much as I would try to make them feel included. And I really hate that. But as a hopeful co-chair for NCNAYO, I just would love to make those people and make the Native youth that feel like that more included, because they deserve a voice too. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you so much, Celia. And give me 1 second and I'm going to unpin everybody and get us back going. So really quickly, I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to join us today. We are going to be coming back together tomorrow. We're going to open up with the talking circle at 12:30 if you would like to join early. Otherwise, we're going to jump back in for our last day at 1 o'clock. So please join us tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I'm going to ask any youth that want to remain for a short talking circle, about 20 to 30 minutes, please remain on the call. But otherwise, adults, I'll give you all a second to log off. But please remember to join us tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Youth, just hang on just a second.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, Jared. See you next week.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
Bad angle.
Me and Cornelia are here.
Sorry, Angus is taking.
Poor hot mess.
Hello. So I'm looking, who do we have with us? If you can turn your cameras on, I'd really appreciate it. So we're not just talking to each other. I see our exec team. Hello. Hey, Angus. Hey, Thorn. Hey, Jalen. Celia, Jordan. Hey, JC. Oh, NCNAYO tech support is me. Just kidding. Listen, I am sorry to Mr. Rodney, but he's got to go. No, he's an adult. Kaylee, I'm assuming you're a student, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Sharika, are you a student or adult? Bam, got a blast. Put in the waiting room. How's everybody doing?
Y'all don't mind us over here. Lydia's dog is all over the place.
So we just wanted to have an opportunity, and let me actually, no, I can't log off of that. We just wanted to have an opportunity to really just take a second just to talk and be cordial. I know that the conference is, the virtual conference was more all official and sharing information, and I appreciate you all for hanging in through all of that. But really just a second and some time to debrief. And I would love to start out by really just sharing your glows and grows. What did you like and what didn't you like? You don't have to speak. You can share it in the chat if you want, but I would love to hear from those that want to share. So glows and grows. What went well, what did not go well?
Well, for me, I enjoyed everything.
Thank you, Kaylee. I appreciate that. Thank you, Celia. Mr. Stevens' workshop. Was anybody in Miss Alicia's workshop?
Yeah.
I was.
How'd y'all think it went? Laid back, perfect, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was good. There's a lot about connection.
Nice. Who was your favorite person you heard from today?
Who are we going to say besides Brooke?
Queen Bee,
I
obviously.
mean, hello. Hello. And she's rocking my earrings. Oh.
I figured Brooke was an easy pick. An easy pick.
Mine was probably Mr. Joshua, just because he was from my tribe.
Like Mr. Josh, he always has so much good info. Anybody else? Overall, how y'all feeling? Tired? I don't know about y'all. I am sick of virtual conferences, and I hope and pray to Jesus this is the last one. I hope so. Thorn, you're in Arizona. What are you doing in Arizona?
I'm visiting my mom's side of the family.
Oh, living your best life. Yeah, you got on and said good morning. I was like, boo, it's lunchtime.
Yeah. It's like what?
What's everybody else doing? Nobody wants to talk to me.
Nothing at all.
Oh man. I'm sick of Zoom. I've had Zoom college orientation today, Zoom NCNAYO. We're done with Zoom.
Well, Lydia, I appreciate you zooming on with both of us. So I appreciate that. So I don't want to take up too much time because I know we've been on here all day. And like I said, I appreciate it. We were very conscious in trying not to spend the whole day just sitting and watching videos. So I think we've learned a lot since last year's virtual conference. But I did want to ask, thinking about our conference theme is Native Resilience, Breakthrough to Excellence. Thinking about the lessons that you may take from 2020 or 2021, how do you plan to apply anything you've learned in the past year and a half to the upcoming year? And I'm actually going to tag in one of our exec team members and ask one of them to share first.
Hey y'all, so co-chairing during COVID-19 really has been tough because, you know, we've been all virtual. But one thing it really has taught me is resilience. And that's why this year's theme, Native Excellence Breakthrough to Native Resilience Breakthrough to Excellence is important to me this year because it really has taught me resilience. And that's a lesson that I will use for the rest of my life.
Anybody else want to share?
One thing I've learned since COVID-19 is, I had like a lot of plans because it was going to be my junior year, but plans don't always happen. And sometimes it just works out for the best for you that plans don't happen. And I guess there's a grand scheme of things that God has planned for us that we don't necessarily see. So if you just go with the flow, it'll just do its thing.
One thing that I have learned is to count my blessings. I was speaking about this earlier, actually. I have taken advantage of my socioeconomic status, and it actually took COVID to make me realize this because I had horrible Wi-Fi. If you've ever done a Zoom session with me before, like a month ago, I had the worst Wi-Fi in the world, and I would constantly get kicked out of class. I was at home all the time doing my schoolwork, and I found myself complaining about that. And then I was like, Lydia, there are literally people in your community who don't have electricity, don't have running water. And so that's one lesson that I'm going to take with me throughout the rest of my life.
Ah, Lydia, deep. Take it to the heart, boo. Anybody else, anything they want to share? So, go ahead, Kaylee.
I was just going to say that one thing I've learned throughout COVID-19 is just to make sure I keep in touch with everyone, because if not, your mental health goes down and it's a hot mess. So I would just say, keep in touch with all your friends and family.
Kaylee, I would agree. I'm an extremely social person, and I think the exec board knows we've really struggled this past year to not only remain safe, but we wanted to keep doing work with NCNAYO, but at times it was just so hard. We were all balancing different virtual schedules, but we still wanted to kind of still be together and doing things together. So it's just been a really tough time. How many of y'all, has anybody not been to a in-person NCNAYO conference? So Jordan hasn't, JC, you haven't, everybody, Kaylee hasn't. I'm pretty sure, I'm like 97% sure we're going to be in person next year, and it is a totally different feeling. I mean, we're talking about so many, yes, Thorn, it's the emotion for me. There are so many Native youth, and it's just a great opportunity. We really have a good time. And we just spend a lot of social time coming together and just being together. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I hope y'all will stick around and continue to come with us next year. And even if you're graduating, like I know Jalen is graduating, Lydia, Kaylani, I want to encourage you, even if you do graduate, you can always come back and volunteer at NCNAYO, because like you said, we had a college panel today. We need people to serve on the college panel. We need people to do workshops. So we always need people to continue to come back, and that's really important. But I don't want to talk too much. I really just wanted to open the floor. Like I said, our youth really just wanted an opportunity to meet and mingle. So does anybody have any questions? Go ahead, exec team. I see y'all unmuting.
So, we'll be back next year and, following years because, we might be graduates, but we're going to
Yeah. And Lydia's got to give up her title next year.
And can we all get a picture real quick?
Oh, what a great decision. Cornelia, come get the picture. She's back here. She's smiling. Who's taking this picture?
Dylan, but Celia.
Oh,
we're putting it on the NCNAYO Instagram page, so y'all make sure y'all look pretty and smell.
Oh, honey, it's no problem.
Leslie said she's always pretty.
Always.
Period.
If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. That's my word of advice to you.
Y'all ready? Celia.
She went away.
Gotcha.
Thanks.
Thank you all for joining us today because there is a lot of NCNAYO members and you guys have the one that's shown up and shown out. So I really do thank y'all all for joining today because you didn't have to, but you still did.
And I do want to say it's we've put a lot of work into this process. It's been planning a virtual conference is totally different than planning an in-person conference, and there are a lot of different moving parts. And so we, like Dylan said, we appreciate you joining. And before you leave, I want to do a quick question, and I want as many people as comfortable to share. It's a random icebreaker question. If you had to break up with yourself, how would you do it?
It's not me, it's you.
I'm a non-confrontational person, so I send texts like, hey, I hate to do this over the phone, but we done.
Okay, Dylan's trash, Lydia's mean. Thorn. How you doing it, Thorn?
Sorry, man. Later.
That's it. Oh gosh. What about you, Kaylani?
I don't know.
I feel like Kaylani would just ghost. They keep on.
Kaylani would ghost.
Like,
Kaylani would ghost herself.
I ghost myself.
Yeah. You know what? If I would ghost you as a person, it's Kaylani. It's Kaylani. It's Kaylani. Kaylani be like, I just never responded.
I didn't see the message.
Yeah. Jalen, what about you? How are you breaking up with yourself?
I'd be straightforward instead of sugarcoating and beating around the bush because I feel like I can handle that much more better. Instead of me having to overthink and overanalyze everything, I would just rather know. So I'd be like, just, hey, we done. That's it.
Or cutthroat. Jordan, how you doing? How you breaking up with yourself?
I probably text myself and then DoorDash some food to them. So it sweetens the pot a little bit.
I love it. What about you, JC? How you breaking up with yourself?
I just feel like, dang, sorry.
Listen, y'all are rough. I don't know about dating y'all generation. Y'all is rough.
I don't know if it's rough per se, just being blunt.
No,
just honest.
You gotta do the compliment sandwich. So you gotta be like, you a great person. However, you a trash girlfriend to yourself, and we're done. But you're still very beautiful.
Oh my gosh. I hope y'all don't use these. 10 out of 10 would not recommend.
Oh, I will use this.
Yes, no, you have to say, I hope that we can still be friends and then never speak to them again.
Yeah, that's always the one everybody uses. And
is it just me or does Lydia sound toxic?
Lydia is very toxic.
Lydia's never been in a relationship.
That's why Lydia tells me about dealing with this and that. I'm like, I'm not bringing the toxic in my life.
Lydia is definitely the definition of toxic.
That's the one in a toxic relationship, Dylan.
We about to go mute.
Well, I just want to thank you all. I know it's been a long day. Again, thank you for hanging on and just being with us through this. We are so excited. Again, tomorrow, if you want to jump on early, we're just going to chat at 12:30 because I did not want to keep you after on a Friday afternoon. So we did not want to do that. So if you want to jump on at 12:30, we'll be here, or just join us at 1 o'clock. If anybody asks, everything was recorded today. It's on our Facebook. We'll also be putting it up on YouTube, so it'll be available to everyone no matter what. But otherwise, I will see you all tomorrow. If my exec team, if y'all can hold on 1 second. Thank y'all. But bye, everybody.
Bye. Have a great day.
Later.
Second.